every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Beautiful Friday morning. You know I like Fridays, yeah. My name is actually Ajuma. Ajuma means Friday in Igala. So Fridays, my day. So I'm excited today. And this is the last edition for this week. The last edition of the Breakfast Cafe for this week. It promises to be a super duper one, right? So hang with me. And it's not just me, I can promise you. I got my co-pilot who is looking very English today, I can promise you that. But before he comes on board, I am Vivian Oguche. Welcome aboard.
Like they always say, Friday sees no other smile or no other day of the week like Friday. I'm so excited. Today is Friday, the last day of the week, and definitely the bumper edition.
Did you say the last day of the week?
Okay, not the last day of the week.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's not the last day of the week. There's still Saturday.
The last working day of the week.
Yeah.
The last working day of the week. And of course, Friday edition is always a bumper edition. Definitely, we have games. We have a whole lot. I am Olubide Shokoya. So we'll start off with banters and etiquette in a short moment.
Okie dokie, like Olumide said, this segment is called Banters, right? Let's banter a little bit. And today we'll talk about driving etiquette. This is essential. So, the open road, a place where freedom and frustration collide. Are you kidding me? That's a line. Now, the open road is where the thrill of the drive can quickly turn into a white-knuckle experience, all thanks to the actions of others. We've all been there, stuck behind a driver, cut off by a car on speed, or forced to slam on the brakes thanks to a distracted driver. But what if we told you there's a way to make the roads more harmonious, or a more harmonious place? It starts with you and a little something called driving etiquette. In other words, you plus driving etiquette equal sanity. Now, it's not just about following the rules of the road, but about being considerate of yourself and those around you. Now, let me hand this over to Olumide, who is a professional driver.
All right, so let's look at some of the driving etiquettes to consider. Respect traffic laws. I know in this part of the country, we like disobeying traffic laws. People cross traffic lights, even speed limit. I remember there was a time Sarah and I were driving across 3rd Mainland Bridge. Now the speed limit there is, I think, 80 miles per hour, yeah. But a lot of people were, you know, going beyond 80, and though we were driving at 80, but Sarah was like, all these people that are overtaking us, they are going more than 80, but we were just maintaining that 80. So, you know, we see this a lot.
Okay, so maybe you should correct yourself. When you say in this part of the country, we go against traffic laws, don't say we, because you and Sarah obviously obeyed the law. So just say some people do not obey.
Some people do not obey. And you know how it is when the green light is blinking. It's blinking, so you are on the top of your speed because you don't want to meet it at red.
Yes.
So people speed, and sometimes you might beat traffic, sometimes you might not. But nevertheless, people will just move.
But you know that's not safe.
It's not safe.
Because you might collide with another driver.
You might collide with another driver.
Who's got the green light on.
Yes, and some of these downfall drivers, they don't even obey traffic laws. Light, they don't. They just, and it's like they walk around as if they're above the law, but that's not the case. Now, so you have to have respect for traffic laws. Obeying traffic signs, signals, and speed limit is a fundamental right. Now, these rules are put in place to guide traffic flow and reduce accidents. Running red lights or ignoring speed limit endangers lives, including yours. Second one, use indicators appropriately. I will also say this one. Most times, I mean, especially this has to do with downfall drivers. They don't use any, indicators. They are going left or they just turn left, they just turn right. Sometimes, even when they are not supposed to do a U-turn, they just do a U-turn, and that can distract an incoming vehicle, the vehicle at your back, because it's not aware that you're about to make a sharp turn and he has to slam the brakes. So you have to use indicators appropriately. Indicators aren't optional. They are essential for communicating your intentions to others or to other drivers. Now, always signal before changing lane, turning or parking. Failing to do so can cause confusion or accidents. Practice lane discipline. Stick to your lane unless overtaken. Now, we have this fast lane and we have the slow lane. The fast lane is usually the left, while the slow lane is always at the right. But people drive very fast on the slow lane and people drive very slow on the fast lane. So you have to really understand, and all that.
There's a saying that everybody on the road is insane except you, the driver.
Except you, the driver. Stick to your lane unless overtaken and use the correct lane for different speed. Hogging the fast lane or weaving in and out of the traffic creates chaos and frustration. Now, you have to also understand, there's this line that is always painted on the ground. So you have to understand that line. Now, where you have a line that is just going straight with no brakes, it means you can't actually overtake. But if you have brakes in the white line, that particular spot is where you can actually overtake. But if it's just a straight white line, you are not permitted to overtake.
How many people understand this thing you just said?
Not quite a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot, Now, you have to maintain a safe distance. In this part of Nigeria, we do bumper to bumper.
So a safe following distance is a thing?
Is a thing.
Okay.
It's actually safe because you cannot anticipate what the next person is about to do. He might see something ahead and slam the brakes. It might not be his fault. He might slam the brake. Maybe someone just crosses and he slams the brake. Now, you doing bumper to bumper, it's a head-on collision. The person at your back too, if he's not careful, and that's how you have multiple accidents. So you have to keep a following distance. Tailgating is not only rude but dangerous. Keep enough space between your vehicle and the one ahead to allow for sudden stops and to avoid rear-end collisions. I mean, it's that simple. Yield when necessary.
This is important.
This one is very, we like to be selfish when we drive. When someone wants to overtake you, no. When someone wants to cross, no. I mean, we are in this part of the country that we feel that everybody's trying to outsmart us. So
why, for crying out loud?
That's Lagos. That's what you said. That everybody's insane except you. So you believe every other person trying to, maneuver and everything, they're all insane. You are the only person that is sane enough to drive on that road.
So what would be your advice to the pedestrian? Just be patient and wait until all the crazy people have gone.
Yes, I've seen a zebra crossing where I crossed, and the driver, made some remarks.
What did he say?
I can't translate.
Oh, he was insulting.
Yes, he was speeding, and it was very insultive on a zebra crossing. But what can I say? Gosh. So some of them might not understand what a zebra crossing is. Some do. They just don't respect,
So if you are a driver and there's a pedestrian that needs to cross, please yield.
But it also depends on
what?
On express.
No, not on an express.
Yes,
and that's why it's important for people to understand what the zebra crossing is. When there's no zebra crossing, don't cross. And then when you have overhead bridges, use it, please.
Use it. Yeah. Exactly. I know in Ghana, if you're about to cross, all you have to do is just stand on the road and those cows stop for you.
Oh, Lord, that's called sanity. That's a sane society.
No, they do it also in Lagos. I know bus drivers do it sometimes, especially when they see school children. They all stop.
Yes, I know.
And allow them pass. But we should do that more often.
So now, you want to end with this particular
yield
paragraph?
when necessary. Give way to pedestrians, cyclists, emergency vehicles, and other drivers at intersections when required. Yielding shows consideration and can prevent gridlock. Now, this last one, avoid aggressive driving, road rage, common in Lagos, excessive honking, we do that a lot, and rude gestures are counterproductive and escalate tension. Stay calm, be courteous, even when other drivers behave poorly. I think we'll stop here. I know it's very hard.
I know this is so good. I know you wanted to stop, but let me quickly say this. Keep distractions to a minimum. Now, distracted driving is one of the leading causes of accidents, especially in this Ember period. Avoid texting, guys. Avoid eating chicken or burger or something, or engaging in activities that take your attention away from the road. Avoid kissing in traffic. Let's
avoid drinking. Yes, don't drink and drive. This is very essential, especially during this festive period. Please do not drink and drive. If you must drink, get someone else to drive for you. I think that's all we are. I'm sure we've all learned one or two things, and this would actually help us or guide us through this festive period. So we'll stop here on Banters and Etiquette. We'll go over to the newspaper review shortly.
Well, it's the Breakfast Cafe right here on High Impact TV. My name is Vivian and my co-host is Olumide. He's right opposite me. And this segment is called Newspaper Review, where we get to take a look at the national dailies. Precisely, we take a look at the front pages of the national daily. So if you're game, let's begin with The Guardian. Major headline here says National Health and Demography Survey is what this is about. That's the big story, and you find it 4 on 5, pages 4 and 5. Spike in teenage pregnancy stirs dire public health and social concerns. There's an infographic in that respect. We also have this one here. LP fumes and vows legal action as 4 lawmakers defect to the APC. This issue of cross-carpeting is major. Yeah?
I don't know what the Constitution has to say, but I think sometimes you might have to give up that particular seat.
Sometimes.
Yeah. It can be challenged in court also. You might have to, because, I mean, that's a major gross misconduct, if I might call it.
Yeah.
I mean,
because the party which gave you the platform and made you who you are, you leave that party for another party. But I think it's decided in the courts.
Yes.
All right, this other story says, detained Okwama president died in military facility. This is, details of that goes, you go to page 29 for details of that. I mean, I have my speech mixed up because it's a rather unfortunate incident. This one says, Ibru Army Chief advocates military and media partnership on security. Page 7 has details of that story. We also have politics, corruption, bane of education in Nigeria, says TED Fund bus. This keeps reoccurring. I mean, just yesterday, one of the biggest philanthropists, MacArthur, said that corruption really is the bane of philanthropy in the country. Now, if philanthropists begin to withdraw because of misappropriation of the funds they pump into the country, what do you think will happen? You know,
well, the people who actually need this, the innocent will suffer, basically.
That's the thing, and I hope it doesn't happen. Now, TED Fund is saying education is also suffering because of politics and corruption. I hope leaders take note. We have 2027 is, for you guys who say it's far, like someone like Olumide who says it's still far off, it's right here. So 2027 is what we're talking about now, and it says Jonathan's campaign posters flood Kanu. There's a disconnect here. Now, Jonathan's former president, Goodluck Jonathan's campaign posters is not all over the place in the Niger Delta. It's in the north.
In the north.
In Kano.
Politic in there.
Yes. We also have this one here. Akpabio counters Barrow, insists tax bills on course despite opposition. Looks like this bill is going to be passed eventually. This one here says activists seek bail for Farotimi and false police involvement. Page 29 has details of that story. Let's see what more we can find on the front page of the Guardian. Yes. Nigeria's budget under threat as OPEC extends production cut. Page 15 has details. We also have federal government opens probe panel as fire guts NSIPA warehouse and NPower tools. Page 29 has details of that story. And that wraps it up for us on the front page of the Guardian.
All right, let's move on to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Bold caption says, Reps move to stop multiple budgets. Wow, quite interesting one there. Proposed deadline for presentation. But you can get more of that story on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Right above that, tax reform bills. We are going ahead for Nigeria's sake. Now, this is the Senate president saying they are going ahead for Nigeria's sake. But how correct is that statement? Are you actually going ahead for Nigeria's sake, for the people's sake? Are the people being carried along? You know, just like Peter Obi said that, I mean, just carry the people along, explain this thing to them. Yeah. But, well, just like we will keep our fingers crossed to see how this actually pans out. Now, it says here, Islam not against girl-child education. This is coming from the Sultan. I know in other countries, I think Saudi Arabia and one other country, I stand to be corrected, the past, I think one country, one country like that passed a law whereby female women now can seek education. I'm trying to remember that particular country.
It's one of the Islamic nations, yeah?
Yeah, one of the Islamic nations. And they were rejoicing. And you could wonder how, you know, they got to that level whereby women are not allowed to seek education. I
mean, it's crazy. It's not until some few years ago that women were allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Now, I'm glad that the Sultan is the one that is saying it's a yes for girls to be educated.
Everybody.
Yeah. Everybody.
Everybody has the right to education.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, we have this one. It says, Max airplane carrying Zulum's deputy and others make emergency landing. Well, it's better an emergency landing than, the other. Now,
Zulum, by the way,
is
the governor of which state now? The Boko Haram state. Was it now? It used to be. I can't remember. Borno, yes.
Boko Haram state. Yeah. All right, moving on. We have a picture here. I'm trying to see the headline. The writer is not clear. But moving on, we have ex-servicemen shot finance ministry over unpaid entitlement.
That could be a pensioner or
that's the picture.
One of the people protesting unpaid entitlement.
And you could see the banner, Coalition of Military Pensioners. Ministry of Finance, please release our funds for our overdue and unpaid entitlement.
These are people who secured the nation once upon a time.
And you could see a man lying down on the ground, and I mean, this is the situation where we found ourselves. But, well, I'm glad it's on the papers. The government can see this, everyone can see this, and I hope this will be looked at with speed. Now, moving on, we have this one. I thought I was Junkun, says Tanko Yakasi at 99. Congratulations. That's page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Man breaks wife's hand and leg for attending clinic without permission.
Oh, God.
It's the audacity for me. I mean, why would you go ahead to break? She's not your property.
This is inhumane. You can't even do that to animals. Talk more of a human being. A human being, someone who is your wife.
Your wife. Someone who you vow to take care of, to love and protect. Well, but I hope the authorities definitely would, make sure he doesn't. He has his day in court. Now, the last one is coming from ICPC. Says corruption has brought Nigeria to its knees. Well, that's a statement everybody would quite agree with. Corruption has brought Nigeria to its knees, and I'm glad it's coming from an anti-graft agency, the ICPC.
So you see, this is another section of the populace that's crying out loud against corruption. TETS Fund just said corruption is killing education, and now one of the people from the anti-graft agency saying corruption is the bane of the country. God help us.
Well, I think that's what we have right now from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, I got a Punch major headline. 29 states spent 2 trillion naira on travels and others. It's a report, right? Just grab the Punch, go straight to page 2, you find the story. There's one rider, let's take it. State governors or state governments borrowed 533 billion naira and generated 1.92 trillion naira IGR. They also serviced debt with 658 billion naira. Just above the middle street, PDP trustees tackle NWC over neck, and they are going to meet Wike in January. Above the masthead, tax reform, it says, that's a subtitle, Senate denies suspending debate as southern senators meet. Also, APC berates faction flooding Kano with Jonathan's 2027 posters. Right now, there's a picture here on the front page of The Guardian. Let's find out what it's about. It's the same thing. Let's see. Military retirees shocked finance ministry over unpaid entitlements. Let them be paid. That's the SOS call here. This one here says, overtime vehicles. Customs plan auction after 2-week ultimatum. Page 10 has details of that story. Also, this one here says, no report of Lagos missing party girls. No report of Lagos missing party girls. This is coming from the police. In case you heard a rumor of girls missing after going for a party, the police is saying no, it's not true. Page 4, 5 have details of this story. Lastly, Amnesty alleges 10,000 die in Nigerian military detention. That's alarming. Let me take it again.
Alarming.
Amnesty alleges 10,000 die in Nigerian military detention. Page 29 has details of that story. That wraps it up for us on the front page of The Punch.
All right, quickly let's move on to the Vanguard newspaper. It says here, tax reform bills. Akpabio overrules Barao. We have a couple of writers to that story. Let me see if we can take some of them. It says bill not withdrawn or suspended. So the bill is still in the House. It has not been withdrawn. Well, let's see how about it. It says vows Senate won't be intimidated by external pressures. Quite interesting. Senate removes Mangunu from committee. South senators back bills and pass confidence vote in Akpabio. Now, reform must enjoy political and technocratic acceptability. This is coming from Fayemi. Arewa youths call Northern elite bluff, declare support for reform. So we have people in support and some.
So let me get you right. The youths in the north are backing the reform, the tax reform bill.
Yes.
But the elders are saying no. So it's the elders versus the youth.
The youth. Quite interesting. But moving on, we have just above the masthead, we have OPEC extends Nigeria's 1.5 million barrels per day oil quota to 2026. Beside that, or below that, we have Boko Haram, 10,000 people die in military custody. Quite an alarming figure coming from Amnesty International. 10,000 people die in military custody. Privatization of power sector, total failure. Privatization of the power sector, total failure.
This is not new news.
This is not new, but I'm glad it's coming from the Senate. Hopefully they will debate and come up with new policies, new ideas, new laws to solve this problem. Now we have this one still on Daily Farotimi. It says activist group plan nationwide protest December 10. I was expecting this. I knew this was going to come up, for that. Now, moving on, we have this one. It says, how we tackled 97% OML 17 oil theft. This is coming from Elumelu. That's on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. PDP crisis, Board of Trustees, the cries, shift of neck meeting. There's been a lot of argument, about this board meeting. Some people are saying it's just a tactic to keep Damagun in power and there for a while till next year. That's what some people are saying. But some people are saying whether they like it or not, by fire, by force, that neck meeting must.
It must hold.
It must hold. Now, one writer to that story says, asks North Central to nominate Ayu's replacement. Quite interesting. Now, moving on, we still have a couple of stories there. We have 4 Labour Party reps decamp to APC. That's on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. We have this one. It says, Netsons on board mainstream energy solution for Nigeria's carbon registry. Now, 2027, Jonathan posters with new political platform flood Kano. Quite interesting how a man who is not even aware, or might be aware, might not be aware, but his posters are flooding Kano and not even his own state. But that's on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. And we have just one story from the sports section, page 31. 2026 World Cup qualifier, Nazi queries Super Eagles commitment. You know, there's been a lot about Super Eagles performance this particular year, this whole year, and it has not been quite encouraging, but fingers crossed next year. We hope they would shine well during the World Cup. But, fingers crossed, and keep a positive mind. I think that's all we have, you know, coming from the papers this morning. So we're going on a short break, and when we come back, we're bringing our guest. Stay tuned.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Welcome back. It's still the newspaper review on High Impact Television, and this is where we get to bring in our guest. He is Solomon Emiola. He is a social justice advocate. So glad to have you this morning on the newspaper review.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be live with you.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. Now, let's get right into the papers this morning. Let's start off with the tax reform. There's so much that has been talked about. I mean, this tax reform, whether or not it will scale through. Now we have the Senate saying, the Senate President himself saying, come rain, come sunshine, this bill will be passed. And he has also made a statement that the bill, in actual fact, has not been suspended. It's still there. They're just deliberating on it. But what are your thoughts about this particular bill? And now we have the Northern youths supporting this bill, but the Northern elders, the Northern governors are not in support of this. Do you see this bill scaling through easily, or this bill will be backtracked?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, the bill itself is not for the people. And it is just for the few elements in power. Now, what do I mean by this? You know, if you look at some of the sections of the bill, part of it, you know, there is a place where he talks about the property tax.
Okay.
Where 4% of it, so which means that if my father now has a property that worth 100 million naira, and then, so it means I, as a person, I am to remit the sum of 24 million naira to the federal government account. this alone speak volumes that from their own what's it called, their own no alternatives that they keep bringing to us. It shows that they are not after the welfare of we the citizens, but after how they continue to use our money to refuel themselves, to recycle themselves in terms of, take for instance, as the economy is now, you see a lot of properties being owned by an individual, a government official. And at the end of the day, they tell us that they are afraid to mention the name, the identity of such person. And this is done because the money they collected, the taxes, we have some complaints in Nigeria that they are not paying tax. And their net worth for tax is over 3 trillion naira. So why can't they look into this instead of still extorting us, the masses? Because the tax that they are talking about now is not for our own benefit. Take for instance, they've just implement electronic charge of 50 naira on 10,000 naira. Okay. Is it the politicians that will run the transaction of 10,000 naira daily? Is it not us? And this affects the poor people more than them. Because instead of them using electronic transfer, they can work with cash. Left and right. At the various ATMs now, there are limits to which you can, to the amount of money you can get from the bank. So the tax is not for we the masses. It is for the few ruling elites. And that is actually that the northern elders, we kick against it because there are some part of the tax reforms that are against the people. The youth that are keep clamoring, they can only come. Don't forget the fact that we also have government institutions. So this is where we cannot even say these people who said they are northern youth emanated from the real youth from the north. Because I, as a person now, I might decide to say, okay, I want to represent the Southwest youth and come with a lot of people, organize a press conference. But that does not mean that I am representing the interest of the large population.
Yeah.
All right, Solomon.
So this also needs to be looked into when they said the youth, because as at yesterday, I met with some of the youth, the northern youth, and some of them were of the opinion that this bill does not speak to their own interest.
Solomon, if I may ask, a lot of people do not even know what's on this bill. I mean, we had a guest, an analyst, who we even asked, and he said he has not seen this bill. So my question is, why is it that most of the time, it is when this bill is about to be passed, we hear of it? When this bill is being sorted, we don't really hear, and people are not even aware what is inside that bill. We only know that northern governors are protesting this and that, but the content of that bill has not been really made public. Why is this so? Why does this keep reoccurring or repeating itself?
You know, it is what we are used to. It is a planned stuff. Anything, take for instance, when they introduced social media bills, then, you know, it did not come to the limelight until when some people look into it. It's not when we look into it, it was after it has scaled through the second reading.
Yes.
That's when we got to know about it. That's to tell you that anything evil, that they know that it will protect the interest.
Evil is rather strong. That's a rather strong word.
Well,
but go ahead, go ahead.
Strong word, I understand.
Yes.
So anything that is against the people, that will serve the interest of the few, the people will not be carried along. And okay, take for instance, we are engaging a government representative yesterday, and it was speaking about how they do organize the stakeholders forum, and he said all his constituents are being carried along. And someone rise up and said, sorry, I'm a member of your constituency, but what you are saying is new to me here. So where do you derive that such data analysis that tells you that you've reached out to all. And if they are, take for instance, at the National Assembly, how many of the bills being passed are also sent forward to civil society organizations? I mean the genuine civil society organizations who are critics to look into. Immediately when we finished hashtag End Bad Governance protest, there was a bill being sponsored before it was quashed down that before you go and protest, this and this must happen. The police have the right to tell you what to do. Then you need to go and meet them, this and this. In which all these things are anti-people. So none of these bills, even at the preliminary stage, you will not get to hear about it. It is when they got to second reading that someone just feel, oh, this thing is not right, or it does not serve my own interest. That is when it gets to rot.
All right, let me come in here. Solomon, you know, we need to move on. We need to move on. Let's talk about the activist now, human rights activist, Dele Farotimi. You know, he's been in the news for days now since his arrest. You are a social justice advocate, so this is right in your lane. Now, activists and groups plan nationwide protest on the 10th of December. I don't know if you're part of this group who is going to be protesting and asking for the... Oh, you are. Tell me a little bit about it. What are your thoughts regarding Dele's arrest?
Dele's arrest is abuse of power. Defamation is a civil matter. It is not what the police needs to intervene in. And as you rightly said, yesterday, this conversation came up between I and a lawyer and even a journalist. So when we were having the conversation, the lawyer were like, oh, this thing, how sure is it that the SAN can escape through this? And I was being referenced to some incident that has happened in the judiciary itself. What Dele Farotimi is saying is the right thing, is genuine. He has a proof. And the moment you see that this, okay, I defend you, and you allege that I defend you, it is not the police that will enforce such, or that will tell you, okay, this thing is, what you have done is this. It is the court of law. And Baba is a legal luminary in which these things is not new to him. He needs to understand the process, the procedures. Why can't Baba approach court of law? I'm
sorry. Let me come in. Solomon, who is the Baba you are referring to?
I'm talking about Afe Babalola SAN.
That's the person that Dele talked about that, you know, is causing him this problem, yes.
And even a lawyer who is even practicing is telling us that this, what Dele said, is the fact. That he's not telling lie. And he's not able to go far. This same thing, I as a person, I have witnessed this. It is not from his own side, but from another person. A legal luminary also. They brought a case before you as a justice. And you know that this case does not have any solid and legal backing. The next thing, you keep adjourning. And you know that the case they brought before you they don't have any evidence. In which the case ought to have been quashed at the preliminary stage. But they keep on hearing. That took us 2 years, 2 months.
Okay, in a nutshell, what are you saying? Dele Farotimi should be released, and are you saying Afe Babalola is wrong? Is that what you're saying?
The act is wrong by using the police to enforce his arrest. It is wrong. There are procedures. In a civil matter, you approach the court of law. Anything that is civil, it is not the job of the police to intervene. So Baba Babalola ought to have approached the court of law. And when he gets to the court, thank God he's a lawyer. This is a lawyer-to-lawyer matter. And he should come and tell the court his own evidence, his own side of the story. Not that the police will have the effrontery. And there's another lacuna there. That why is it that when you said, okay, he has defamed you, defamation law, is it a state law or a national law? It is a national law, which means he can be tried at Lagos. Why is he being drove down to risk his life from Lagos down to Ado-Ekiti? That's to let you know that there is something hidden that they've not yet told us.
Yeah, but that's what you think. That's what you think. We don't know if there is any hidden motive yet.
If there are no hidden motives, it's so clear. Now, as a person, if anybody defame me, irrespective of where the person is, so far the law of Nigeria, of our country, establish such crime, such offenses, the person can be tried where he or she is residing.
Okay. All right.
Not that it's the most they brought the person down to where I was or where I am.
All right. Also, just to put this one out there, under section 329 or 392 of the Penal Code law, any person who defames another shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 2 years or with a fine or with both.
Yeah.
So it is actually a criminal punishment. It carries a criminal punishment, but the provisions or the method at which this arrest was carried out might be questioned.
Yeah. The method might be questioned.
Yes.
But you're saying that this crime carries imprisonment.
Imprisonment.
But the thing now is, in court, what must be decided is if this is a case of defamation or not.
Or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Solomon, go ahead.
Even at the court, it is until when he is proven guilty.
Yes.
Yes.
If he is not proven guilty, he can sue back. So that is why I said it is not the responsibility of the police to execute or to implement such order. So it is what, as a legal person, I don't need to teach Afe Babalola Chamber. It's work. It's what they know. And this is even part of what Dele Farotimi was even saying. Is part of what even happened during his arrest. Abuse of procedures. You know that in legal profession, there are procedures. Why can't Afe Babalola Chamber follow the procedure of the legal profession? So it means there are some persons in the legal professions who have humility, who are powerful than the judiciary itself.
All right, so if I may ask, Solomon, what effect or what repercussion, let's not make it too harsh, what effect would this have on other activists looking up to Dele Farotimi? I know Sowore is one of the people who has been locked up, who has been detained several times. Now it's Dele Farotimi. What effect would it have, a positive or negative effect on other activists who are also fighting for human rights?
You know, as human rights activists, right from the beginning, is what we've signed up for and we are prepared for this. Even if you look at his press press conference that he did, he had before his arrest, he's talked about all these events that are unfolding, which means he is well prepared for it mentally, psychologically, emotionally. So as an activist, arrest should not be something we should be afraid of. No. It's not what we should be afraid of because it is what we signed up for.
All right.
And anyone who is demanding for a better society will also pay the price. And part of the price that Dele Farotimi is paying now is being arrested by a senior advocate of Nigeria.
All right, if I may also come in, you said he made a statement. Now, when he made that statement, he was referring to threat to life. When he made that public statement, that press conference, he was alleging that there has been a threat to his life. do you suspect foul play? But now we are having it that he's being charged for defamation.
Yeah.
Not what he was saying before, that his life was being threatened. He has been saying it several times. He said he sent letters to DSS, the police, and all that. So do you suspect any foul play? Is this threat to life real, or it's just
a figment of his imagination?
No, it's not a figment. Even there was one that during NSA's panel of a thing at Lagos that I myself am aware of. And to also make it so corny this time around, you know, the first he has been parading what's it called, Lagos State Police Command, that they said the petition being filed by Tony Elumelu. So that's alone, and for that to have even been, it's not coincidence. It is a planned stuff. If someone you invited him, and the way he was being arrested, is that the way to even invite someone?
You see now, let's dissect this, Solomon. You said it's planned, but now you just said it was Tony Elumelu that filed the complaints this time around. This particular issue you're talking about. There is nothing that binds Elumelu together with Afe Babalola. Can you hold on? Can you hold on? Let me land. The only common denominator here is the words being spoken by the author, who is in hot soup. Now, if you start having problems with so many people and you are the common denominator, shouldn't you stand back and think, is it what I'm saying, or really, is it what you are saying, that it is a planned work to shut him up?
Now, this is it. We don't need to go far. When you speak the truth, what happened?
Oh, yeah, well, truth is very bitter, so, I mean, darkness will definitely fight back.
Bitter, right?
Yes.
Now, when truths are bitter, the persons when truths are bitter, right? When it falls on grants, it falls on different parts. Now, if there is any of the part that they felt like, oh, this thing is eating me more than it's expected, I need to retaliate. During NSAS, this same thing comes on board, whereby activists are that they go after activists, demanding for justice. To the point that at the barricade, they were attacked. So it's not about the choice of words.
Okay, Olumide, before you come in, let me Solomon, you are a social justice advocate. Does that make you above the law? Or do you think that activists and... Hold on, let me ask, do you think activists and advocates like yourself sometimes might use the wrong words and must be held accountable? Do you think that's right?
If choice of words is what is bringing issue, I disagree. It's not choice of words.
Okay.
It's not choice of words. What the issue here is, like, okay, now, if I offended you in that, and I felt like, okay, I have the medium to cover up the whole scenario, and by the time you come to the limelight and you speak about the issue, I will look for all means to make sure I cover all what happens in the dark. Yeah. That is what is playing out here. A scenario was brought to me yesterday that so person happens, I don't want to mention it. Yes. And I was just nodding my head that, oh, in this same Nigeria, someone who is just an orderly went to law school. The next thing, the person in 2 years, the person has become a justice.
Wow.
And we are not joking like, okay, I don't say, okay, the person has paid his price. That is why he could become that. Is that the normal procedure? So if the person, those who have the vital information, now comes out to speak about the issue, do you think the person who originated such will be happy?
Oh, of course not.
No, that is what happened here. It's like now, someone infringed on my own rights at police headquarters, and I filed 3 FOI petitions to demand for the petition that led to my own detention. You gave me an invite. I came. I honored the invite. The next thing, you turn it to detention.
That's not right.
That's not right. Now I demand for such petition to be released to me. It's over a year now. They could not provide such petition. So if I come to the public, organize a press conference, and narrate all the incidents, how it came in toto now, do you think those perpetrators will not come after me?
That's $1 million question, but you know, we need to wrap up. Solomon, I've got to give this to you. You stood your ground. This was a very good debate. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on board this morning. We appreciate your time. I don't know if you want to say something,
No,
Solomon.
I think I'm good and I'm okay. We've run out of time. But Solomon, thank you very much. Solomon Emiola, thank you very much. You've been very brilliant on this particular topic.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure here.
You're welcome. You're most welcome. We'll probably have another, I think this time around, we would need to have a legal person, a legal practitioner, to really trash this out. Because one of the things I would like us to understand, I'd like to understand is, if a person, you know, charges you for defamation, is it the state where that person is, or the state where you are in, or the state where it happened?
You're talking about jurisdiction.
Jurisdiction.
Exactly.
We need to clarify that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, he was taken from, people are arguing that he was taken from Lagos to Ekiti State.
Yeah,
so
why? You know, when we talked about it, I asked the question, why?
Why?
Yeah.
So we need to know.
We need to get a legal practitioner to come dissect this. But there's a very important question you had asked, you know. Solomon had said a professor or the legal practitioner, the human rights activist, Dele Farotimi, had given a press conference prior to his arrest. So he said that he was mentally prepared for this. But then you asked, the press conference he gave was regarding threat to life. He did not even mention his book. He did not say it was a case of defamation. He said it was threat to life. So which is it? Is it threat to life?
Well,
or is
he also actually mentioned defamation, but it wasn't towards he mentioned, he didn't mention, now, he mentioned certain people.
Yeah, but he didn't mention
he without their names. He said something, he was being accused for defamation and in his book, and he said he mentioned 4 people in his book, but he did not actually mention their names, the names of the people in that book.
But the thing is, he's written this book. He mentioned names. These people are trying, they are doing what they need to do to clear their name. You know, so this thing must end in court, and the right man, I pray, wins.
We win.
Basically.
I mean, that's all we have right now coming from the newspaper review. So we'll go on a short break. Stick around. We still have a lot more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe.
Foment, foment, foment.
Welcome back. This is the Breakfast Cafe. This is Views from the Net, right? So what we do is we throw out a question earlier on. We get your response, hilarious, educative, informative. I mean, we just try and educate ourselves and share experiences. That's what Views from the Net is all about. So today, what's the question? What is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you in public? What is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you in public? I'm trying to think, but as we dive into the segment, definitely I will try and remember. Vivian, do you have any?
I can't remember anything at the moment. Maybe you know how we do it when we get into it.
Yes.
Something might come, right? So let me begin to take your comments though. This one says, so that particular day was my first time taking a bus in London, and instead of putting the card above the screen where the money will be tapped out from my card, I put it on the screen. It was so embarrassing because there was a line behind me and I was standing there with my card on the screen instead of above the screen, wondering why the machine didn't shout, "Welcome," like it had been shouting for all the white people. I began to suspect the machine was racist until the driver pointed to the direction and I did it properly. Everyone on the line began to whisper and giggle, laugh. I just got a seat and hugged the side of the bus, hoping it will suck me in and I don't have to deal with the shame. Victoria from London. Oh my gosh, Victoria, I can relate.
Oh, I can. It's quite interesting. Now this one says, standing before my course colleague to write the structure and propanol, if I get that, propanol, only to write propanel instead. I was just overconfident and it was so embarrassing at the end. Uzziah from Ogun State, you can imagine. Being overconfident sometimes can kill.
Yeah, this says, I went for a church camping program and unfortunately I was on my monthly flow. Oh my gosh, here goes. So one morning like that, I was trying to wait for the session to end so I would go to the hostel and change. While waiting, my period just, oh my gosh.
Wow.
While waiting, my period just flowed down to my legs. It was so embarrassing because guys were sitting at my back. I just quickly ran to the hostel. Onwukwe Chisom from Edo State, Benin City. Gosh, Chisom, I have no words. But I hope you've overcome that. Just take that image out of your mind, yeah? It happened.
I think I remember one, and not quite in public, but it happened right here.
Yeah.
Quite hilarious. I think it was Sarah and I that were presenting. So that day was actually a Thursday. I thought it was a Friday, and I just went on to say it was Friday.
Instead of?
Thursday.
Oh, yeah, that's a small thing compared to what your son just went through.
You just went through. But I felt some type of way, Imagine you presenting and saying today is Friday.
When it's Thursday. How do you overcome that kind of thing, especially when you're on air?
When you're on air. Well,
you take your mind off of it.
You just take your mind off it.
Yes, take your mind.
It just happens.
Do you know the power of the mind? What you focus on is what you energize. Take your mind off of it. Yeah.
This one says, I got money snatched from my hand when I was in a bus. I held my hand outside with the money, then all of a sudden it was gone.
What?
Wow, Gabriel from Akwa Ibom. Well, at least you learned your lesson.
And I'm sure, no. How could you say he learned his lesson? Why would I not be able to hold my hand without having my money taken out of my hand?
Out of the bus.
Yes.
Well,
why?
Out of the bus.
Wait, out of the bus?
Yes. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
It was out of the bus.
It was out of the bus.
Yeah, but really, no, jeez, producer, stop talking in my ear. But wait, if it is an ideal situation, I should put my hand out of the car.
That's not Dubai.
Well, so you can do it in Dubai.
In Dubai, I've seen a video.
But you can't do it in Nigeria.
I'm not sure. In Dubai, I saw a video. The man kept his wallet, his phones, and everything on the trunk of his car, went into the mall, did so many things, came back, it was still there.
That is the kind of life I'm advocating for. That's how it should be. Why can't we have it in Nigeria?
Yeah, well, in Nigeria, if you put your hand out and you're wearing an expensive wristwatch, they might cut your hand. Now, I've seen it in a bus. This lady was on the phone in a bus, on the when they hold up. She was actually in the bus. Her hands were not outside. She was texting on her phone, and this guy snatched the phone from her and went. This was a gridlock, and this guy just disappeared.
This was in Lagos?
Minutes. Ibadan Expressway.
Okay.
In minutes, he disappeared. So it wasn't as if her hands were out. She was in the bus. And the guy, we saw the guy, he came, he was looking into the bus for a while, but so nobody suspected anything, and he just grabbed her phone and went.
So it's not Gabriel's fault for wanting a sane
Yeah,
society
it's not.
where he can be free. It is the fault of the thieves
Yeah,
who are making
thieves.
it impossible for people to hold their hands out,
Yes,
really.
yes.
And maybe the embarrassing thing for Gabriel was that was his fare.
That was
He
his
probably did not have another money to pay,
Yes.
you know.
I can imagine how embarrassing, that is. Now this one says, accidentally waving at a stranger, thinking they were waving at me. Ayokunle Modupe from Ilupeju. Yes, it happened.
This has happened to me too.
Yes.
Yeah, it has happened to
It
me.
has happened.
I
It's
can
quite-
imagine. This
I can-
says dragging change with a conductor. This is Christopher from Lagos. I can imagine.
Yes, so I've been there. Dragging change with conductor sometimes can be very, very
And these
embarrassing.
conductors can be mean,
They
very
can be
mean
very,
sometimes.
Very mean. And sometimes I've had to, let go of that change because, to come down from the bus and be dragging,
It's just-
it's just, sometimes I've seen a situation whereby the bus conductor did not drop me where I was supposed to drop. He dropped me after. I was so angry. I even pushed him from the car. And you
It's
really must
crazy.
have patience.
You
when
know,
you're
you
dealing
need
with
to be skilled in handling conductors in
Very-
Lagos,
you
I'm
need to be
telling you.
skilled, yes.
This is Melody from Benin, that's in Edo State. And Melody says, oh my gosh, I fell inside a gutter twice. Oh my gosh, Melody, so sorry.
So
gosh.
The most embarrassing thing for me that has happened, or the most embarrassing thing that has happened to me in public was falling down on heels.
Oh gosh.
I miscalculated my steps, and the next thing I saw myself was on the floor. People laughed while some felt pity, but all in all, it was embarrassing.